once we identify the problem, everybody should be informed. Working with Secretary Lutnick, we are going to make our security enhancements mandatory, meaning that if these states want a grant and they want to be reimbursed to work or to run their elections, they're going to have to implement security issues.
We're listening in here to Department of Homeland Security Secretary Mark McMullen, and this was a press conference that he gave on Friday in which he was talking about election security ahead of the midterms. We're going to step away for a quick commercial break. We'll continue with more of those remarks when we come back.
How does that make you feel, Cupcake? 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 How does that make you feel, Cupcake?
Night restart.
99 restart, 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 99 restart.
people know they can trust our elections. If states want the grant funding to recap, they must secure the elections. I want to thank President Trump's proactive approach to this. He has put together a remarkable team that not only is informing the public about what's going on, but we're also informing Congress, we're informing our states, and we're going to secure our elections. States must be aware of the real threats for voter registration and the system breaches. And I do want to reemphasize. recap, Unabundant Trust Leadership DHS is well prepared to support all states, red states,
must do their part to secure our election system, and we stand by to help.
illegal, or you're voting illegally, we will hunt you down.
Prosecute you. The American people must have confidence in our elections, election security.
An issue in Homeland Security. We're here to support everybody. The American people,
Even the media, to get access and the information they need to hold the state.
yes ma'am.
We're continuing to listen. Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen, he was hosting this press conference on Friday talking about election security. As they do segue now to
Wait for the commercial break.
we'll finish up this comment when we come back.
You can run, but you can't hide, Kippy. It just shows how mentally ill you really are, buddy. Nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. You like tearing up Channel 19 for all the truck drivers, Kip? Woo-wee, and I just got home. Hey, you watching the news out there? Fucking retard.
About that water, he started cutting water. With that golf cart river, I come out there.
Kipper, you better take your meds.
More comments from Department of
Aw,
Homeland Security
Kipper.
Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen.
19 and 20, 19 and 20.
So with that, I'll open up for questions. Yes ma'am.
That yellow stripe, what is that?
Thank you. When we start talking about can we
This is Kippy, 382 out of Garden City. He's over by the park. Track him down. He's easy to find.
If it's states that choose not to participate in the same program, and if they choose not to participate in secure this.
Just be careful, though, because he's mentally ill.
And they sound like that Mark Shipper's trying to incite violence against people. Thank God it's recorded.
Yeah, thank God it's recorded.
How far it goes. Prison time.
At least I don't give your address out and your phone number.
gotta stay low and engaged.
There's no question the intelligence.
That's Kippy 382 in Garden City. Track him down. He's easy to find. Follow the signal.
American people in Congress, we are currently going through those lists. We will
Longer in the agencies. Those that are will be held accountable. Those that abuse.
MS will definitely be held accountable because there is no excuse if you purposely disobey the
Kippy bouncing from channel 19 to 20. What kind of game are you playing? What kind of game are you playing over there, buddy? Just take your meds, have your cup of coffee, and when your meds kick in, go lay down for about 6 hours. You'll feel better when you wake up.
teams. that's been saved is because the media got so much information out to the public in advance about the magnitude of the rain that was going to come, the magnitude of the flooding that was going to come, and people recognize and get away from where floodwaters would be. So first, thank you for that. But also, as I pointed out, we're not done with this yet. The more you can continue to share information with the public about the ongoing dangers that exist, the more and better chance we have to ensure nobody else is going to lose their life. We'll take a few questions. Provide a more detailed answer. However, there are multiple first steps, one of which is that Texas One Fund that already has resources in it. And we will, and what that fund does typically is coordinate with people at the local level to make sure that money is going to be available as quickly as possible. That said, there are different financial resources available from different pockets that Chief Ken can tell you all about. Thank you for the question. Let's expand on that a little bit. The first thing is we have a state website, and we'll get that website out to you where they need to report their damages. We share those reports with our local officials. The local officials will be the ones to help us organize support going into those homes to do the mud out and muck out and the cleanup of that. So we'll get that website out to you. That damage at tnf.texas.gov, I believe, is the address that we want you to use. The volunteers that come in to help will also be bringing, some of them bring in their own checkbooks, and they start writing checks and donations to families to help get money back going. But we really want to organize this at the local level, so each community that's impacted will have its own team. Our team is there with them now, the Incident Support Task Force. You see some of them wearing the uniforms around here, and they are ready as soon as it's safe to do so, which is becoming that way right now, to get out into the community and work directly with the citizens to help them on the road to recovery. So one thing that I have observed during multiple events, whether it be the floods of last year, Hurricane Harvey, or other events, there are many organizations, many of them are faith-based organizations, and they show up sometimes within hours, definitely within days, to very quickly come in and do the workout process, which is one of the very first steps. When the workout process takes place, that leads to a lot of debris being put on the ground in front of the house or whatever. And the state and local officials will be involved in that debris removal, which we know will be a top priority. But bottom line, you will see a lot of organizations coming in ready to immediately begin that workout process. Go ahead. So we have someone from TxDOT here. We have them answer that question. Yes, so right now we're currently assessing the bridge damage that was caused by the racist drivers, and we're in the process of evaluating the water machine. We continue to do that evaluation so we can see what we can do to speed up the process and get that back operational. So at this time, we don't have a specific time when we're looking at moving into operation. It was a flood control dam, and it was flown and looked at, and it did not fail. We have been in contact with the landowner, with the range owner, and where the dam is located, and he's also confirmed that we put eyes on that dam, and it did not fail. What did happen is it worked just as designed, and the spillway, the water came over the spillway in a way that it had never done. And so while it may have looked like on the end, the dam breached, it did not. It was going around the spillway in a big amount, which is a tremendous rate. And so the dam is good, and it's still holding back lots of water. So, I want to get one in way. So, what you can do is to be fundamentally responsive to it, as well as our communities, to reduce flooding. And if you look at some of the measures that were taken at the flooding last year, especially in the Cook area, there were some homes and some other property that was removed from the floodplain. And so, for one, making sure the communities honor the floodplain and trying to not have housing in the way. Second, I'll tell you this. I think I heard today. I also heard in other briefings that I've been involved in, as well as I've heard from people in communities ranging from Kirk County to other communities affected, and that is because of everything that was learned and experienced in the flood last year, everybody in Texas has been far more prepared to deal with what has happened this year. There again is one reason why lives have been saved. Property, to the extent that it's been movable, has been saved. Private property, which would be like houses, apartments, commercial businesses, things like that. You can move them, but sometimes they can relocate and things like that. And that process began in the aftermath of the flood last year. But again, lessons learned from last year were applied to make sure the response this year was far superior to what we were able to achieve last year. And again, we were talking before coming out here, local officials and state officials, we learned more in the past 48 to 72 hours than we did last year. And we continue to process this to make sure the state is more responsive and more prepared every single year. I made a similar declaration in the flooding that took place last year. And the response took about 1 or 2 days. And so it was very rapid. My hope is it will be equally swift this time. I don't have that. I think what we have seen from the state asset perspective, most of the rescues that were done were for motorists or stranded motorists. But really, we can ask the locals about what their local perspective was on rescue versus evacuation. And that said, to be clear, I've heard reports from here as well as elsewhere in the state about operations conducted, whether it be by the National Guard, by the Department of Public Safety, game wardens, or others, hoist rescues into helicopters and other airlift out of trees or other places like that. So heroic missions have been conducted to save lives across the state. Passing successfully a War Powers resolution as part of our continuing effort to stop Donald Trump's reckless and costly war of choice in the Middle East. No more stupid wars that make life more expensive for the American people. And then, of course, this week, perhaps for the first time in the history of the United States of America, the majority party was forced to help pull a bill relating to veterans because House Democrats, led by Mark Takano, have made clear all week that this bill doesn't benefit hard-working veterans in the United States of America. It would actually hurt them. In advance of Donald Trump's speech, let me also be clear about one thing. Donald Trump lost the 2020 presidential election. Something's really wrong with this guy. I think he actually needs to be checked out. Why does he continue to focus on a conspiracy theory related to a 2020 presidential election that every rational person in the United States of America knows he lost? And yet, instead of focusing on actually driving down the high cost of living in an economy where hard-working American taxpayers are suffocating from the affordability crisis, Donald Trump continues to peddle election conspiracy theories. House Democrats are committed to making sure that we have a free and fair election in November. And when that occurs, we're confident that we're going to take back control of the United States House of Representatives. What Republicans are doing, since they were once again neutered on the floor of the House of Representatives, is to advance an America Last budget resolution that will actually provide $60 billion in additional taxpayer money for Donald Trump's reckless and costly war of choice in the Middle East that has left Iran in a stronger position than they were in before this reckless war started. And the American people in a weaker position economically as a result of high gas prices. And yet Republicans continue to double and triple down on Operation Epic Failure. The war in Iran has been a disaster for the American people, and House Democrats will strongly oppose their America Last budget resolution and fight to actually restore the devastating cuts to Medicaid and to nutritional assistance that Republicans jammed down the throats of the American people with their one big ugly bill last year. On the Israel vote yesterday, the Democratic Party holding on Israel like Israel king. In the Dear Colleague letter that I sent to the caucus, I laid out the position that I believe we as House Democrats will take as we move forward, anchored in several different principles, including our support for Israel's right to exist as a Jewish and democratic state and homeland for the Jewish people, and at the same time, pressing the urgent need to establish an independent Palestinian state that allows the Palestinian people to live with dignity, respect, and self-determination. And that needs to be dealt with urgently in the conditions to establish a just and lasting peace need to be acted upon immediately. And that involves surging humanitarian assistance into Gaza to alleviate the suffering of Palestinian civilians. It means not just the reconstruction of Gaza, but the modernization of Gaza and investing along with our partners in the Gulf states and moderate Arab nations in a path toward prosperity for the Palestinian people. Hamas needs to be disarmed and completely removed from power. And we need to deal with the out-of-control settler violence that the Netanyahu administration has allowed to take place in the West Bank. And perpetrators of that violence should be sanctioned and criminally prosecuted. These are all things that I've laid out in the letter that I wrote to the House Democratic Caucus, and I believe provide a foundation for a path forward to get to the place that we need to get to, which is a just and lasting peace with Israel and the Palestinian people living in a safe and secure fashion in peace and prosperity. morning, everyone, and welcome in here on Live Now from Fox. The time is 6:11 on the East Coast and 3:11 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'll be here with you for the next several hours as we break down all of your top stories and live events from across the country and across the world. And right there on the right-hand side of your screen, you are taking a live look over the Strait of Hormuz that is coming in from marine traffic as we bring you all of the latest here on the conflict taking place between the U.S. and Iran. Now, we do have this information here as the U.S. military has launched a 7th straight day of strikes against Iran as Iran continues to fire at Gulf Arab nations, including Iraq, Jordan, and Kuwait. U.S. Central Command posting overnight in part. U.S. Central Command hit surveillance sites, military logistics infrastructure, underground weapon storage, and maritime capabilities. U.S. forces employed fighter aircraft, aerial drones, and warships, in addition to other assets. Again, that is a post coming in here from CENTCOM as they've been providing updates on the internet there. In the meantime, Iran's judiciary says it has indicted President Trump for alleged war crimes along with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Very likely this will go anywhere, but Iran International English posting this right here on your screen, saying in part, Iran's judiciary has issued indictments against U.S. President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over the recent war. That's according to the judiciary spokesperson there in Iran, saying, quote, indictments have been issued against the U.S. President and the Prime Minister of the Zionist regime, end quote. I do want to talk about all of the latest developments here that are coming out of the region. Let's bring in Blaise Mishtal, the Vice President for Policy over at JINSA. Thank you so much, as always, Blaise, for taking the time to join us here super early on Right Now for Fox. Good morning, Josh. It's good to be with you. Thank you so much. And first off, I want to start by talking to you really just about this comment here that's been made by the judiciary there in Iran, saying that they're indicting President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu. I have to imagine that really overall doesn't mean much.
It certainly does not. I can't imagine that either President Trump or Prime Minister Netanyahu will be setting foot in Iran anytime soon to be taken under arrest or into court proceedings there. But it does show how Iran fights, because in addition to the missiles and drones that we've been hearing about during the course of this war, Iran's most potent weapon has actually been information. And we've seen this in repeated wars against Israel. What it tries to do is convince the world that Iran is the victim, Iran is right, Iran is on the side of justice, that its adversaries are delegitimized, that they're using unlawful tactics, that they're not fighting fairly, that they're doing horrible things. We've seen this repeatedly as Iranian-sponsored terrorist groups like Hamas and Hezbollah try to convince the world that Israel is committing genocide or Israel is committing killing women and children wantonly, even when they're the ones who attack civilian infrastructure and targets and rape and murder. And Iran is now using that same playbook against the United States. Iran is the one that launches ballistic missiles indiscriminately at apartment buildings, homes, and schools. Iran is the one that just hit a desalinization plant in Kuwait, denying civilians water. Definitely a war crime. But here it is trying to convince the world that everything it does is just, and the United States and Israel are the war criminals. So this is definitely a propaganda effort as it tries to weaken the U.S. on the world stage, trying to drive a wedge between it and its partners. It is a very important weapon for it, and one that the United States should be countering.
When you talk about U.S. Central Command and the fact that they posted here saying that this is a 7th day in a row of those strikes that are taking place on different locations there in Iran, what does that say about where things kind of stand right now between the U.S. and Iran as talks have obviously stalled and the military action is picking up once again?
Yeah, I think we seem to be in this day-by-day pattern where President Trump is clearly choosing to escalate strikes on a daily basis. He seems that we're sort of picking new targets, more sensitive targets with each coming day.
but not committing to what's going to come the next day. I think as President Trump is looking to see how the Iranians respond, if they want to re-enter negotiations, if they want to cry uncle, if they want to cease their own attacks or reopen the strait. And since that hasn't happened, we see President Trump choosing to continue attacks the next day, signaling that at some point down the road, he says next week, perhaps we'll go at even more sensitive targets like Iranian energy facilities. But it really seems like at this point, this is a slowly escalating set of strikes meant to try to give Iran an off-ramp, and each day we're looking to see if they're taking it. But I don't think that is likely at this point, given everything that Iran has signaled. And I'm going to pop this up on your screen because you have, and this is kind of going back to what you were talking about with the propaganda. You have U.S. Central Command that is doing these fact checks that we're seeing where they say Iranian forces claim that they attacked that location there over in Syria and captured or killed American troops in the process. They say that's false. The fact is that Father-in-law, a great guy, and he said he used to play soccer as a young man. He didn't quite make it into the big leagues, but he's a good athlete. Victor, stand up. Stand up. Ex-soccer player. But we're gathered tonight, thanks, Victor. But we're gathered tonight. He's going to be at the game along with Melanie, along with everybody. I mean, no, it's not going to be at the game. If we had about 10 million more, so we would sell every ticket. This thing is sold out. I've never seen, nobody's seen anything like it. But we're gathered tonight in New York City as we await the final face-off on Sunday between the two amazing teams, Spain and Argentina. I watched that pass that Messi made. I'm not knowing as much as the people in this room, but I know about sports and I know about a little bit about soccer. But I watched Messi and it was well guarded, right? Well guarded. And all of a sudden he's standing on the right. You understand what I'm talking about? I don't know if anybody did. I just noticed it. Nobody talked about it. I just noticed it. I said, he's still well guarded by a great player. And then he moved to the right. and the other player was just standing there. And he had plenty of time, he kicked it. It was within, I would say, a quarter of an inch of being perfect. And that was the end of the game. It was brilliant. And these great players, they seem to do that over and over again. They just born with something extra special. I know that Ronaldo is one of them. I got to know him over the years, and he's a great guy. You have a great player in England who I played golf with, you know that, right? And he is Harry, who's been fantastic. I think they perhaps made a mistake when they made him a defensive player. What do I know about soccer? They took the league and they took their best player and they put him on defense. And somehow, now, we gotta be the offensive, right? But no, I'm not gonna call it. Like, what do I know about coaching here? But that was a little unusual. But Harry is a great guy, actually. Oh, again, and tonight in New York City as we await the final face-off on Sunday between these two amazing teams. And it's going to be something, I think, really special. This has been a tournament like no other, filled with fierce competition, unforgettable moments, yet unforgettable moments. Like, probably the most unforgettable is when they gave a gentleman a red card. And I was forced to call Johnny and just make a recommendation. I said, Johnny, I'd like to make a recommendation. I think you think you've known him say that. I said, I'd like to wage a complaint. And actually, I had no idea what was going to happen, but you know, so much better the way it worked out because there's no controversy. They won the game, and our team and all of its players made another great decision. If you think about that, no, you'll never get credit. You never get credit for this. Think of it if he didn't allow him and do it to say, we would have won the game if we had our best players. So Johnny made yet another of his many good decisions, but the spirit of patriotism and the unity that's bringing the whole world together. This has really brought the world together. The 2026 FIFA World Cup has broken almost every record imaginable. This is the largest World Cup in history by far, by many times actually. Welcoming 16 additional teams, and I understand you may be making it even larger next time. I suggested that this has been so successful that, I'm really working these people hard because they really call the shot. They tell Johnny exactly what to do. They say, what we should do is, you should choose the United States of America again. This time we'll leave Mexico and Canada out. But then what you do is which I always realize to get them in. But what we do is, you choose us, but you pick somebody else for the next one. And then we'll take some of the anger, hatred, and steam out of everyone. But Johnny also had another idea. He said we could do it China and the United States the next time. We do China and the United States. So you have a nice short flight in between games. The players would love that. But it is the world's largest, and it's like having, my first heard this, but many Super Bowls at one time. It's like having many Super Bowls. Every stadium is packed to the rafters this spirit. But fans from 200 countries attended 104 games spread across 16 Northern American cities, and I saw things happen. My mother comes from Scotland. My father comes from Germany. When I saw the Scottish bagpipes, and the Scots, they were going wild. They said, this is really different. And a lot of countries came in not knowing what to think, and they loved the United States. In fact, the people that came, they're going to be coming back. Maybe permanently, I don't know. They love the United States. We're doing great. We're doing great. It's the golden age of America. We're doing better than we've ever done. We're $19.2 trillion being invested, much more than any country's ever had invested into our country. Factories being built all across the land. But I'm proud to report that with more than 6.5 million attendees, this has been by far the most attended tournament in history. And that's the history of all sports. And that's only going to go, well, maybe up. I don't know where you're going next time. Where are you going next time? You're allowed to tell me. I'll let you know if you're going to do better. But that's a tough number to beat, right? That's why he's already wants to do. He's very competitive. That's why he's going to add some more teams. He figures by adding some more teams, maybe they can tap. But the total number of spectators exceeds the entire attendance of the last two World Cups combined. And together we pulled it off really flawlessly. I don't want to say this because you still have two more games. And so let's not talk about it yet. I want to say how great it's been. We've had absolute spirit, absolute, I have to say, the law enforcement, they're fantastic, but they didn't have to work too hard because the spirit was so good. There were no fights, there were no anything. So I just want to say great, but let's save it for Sunday evening. I think we'll hold it out for Sunday evening. But it's going to go well by the time the final whistle sounds on Sunday. Nearly 6 billion viewers will have watched this World Cup. That's a record by many, many times over. No doubt that the World Cup has won millions of new fans and a lot of new fans in this country, which traditionally hasn't been a soccer country, but it's getting there even before this. It's been going up. And this will have a big impact, I'm sure, from the first day of my administration, 2025. We've worked closely with FIFA to make this event a resounding success. We have great people in. Thank you very much. Great job you did. You really worked hard. Thank you very much. Great job. To put our preparations into perspective, and the record-setting tournament has been the logistical equivalent of holding 78 NFL Super Bowls in less than 2 months' time. 78. We marshaled the resources of more than 50 federal departments and agencies, deployed every arm of the federal law enforcement to ensure the games would be safe, secure, and successful. And they've turned out to be amazing. The State Department expedited thousands and thousands of visas for World Cup ticket holders very quick. We call it fast letting them in. We call it let them in fast. And we secured, and Marco was fantastic. Marco Rubio, fantastic, and the job he's done, Secretary of State. And we secured more than $1.2 billion in funding to support transit operations in City Hall. He wanted more. I said, can we just relax for a while? $1.2 billion to transport people, and then I want to thank the White House, FIFA Task Force. They've been really fantastic, and again, Andrew Giuliani did a fantastic job. Thank you very much. Hosting guests from all over the globe for the 2026 FIFA World Cup was also an incredibly special way to help kick off American still out here. Tens of thousands of people from around the world that got to join us. We had a fantastic July 4th weekend, like I think we've never had before, and it was only enhanced by having you here. I don't know if he did that on purpose. I don't think so, but it worked out fantastically. We had an amazing crowd. 450,000 people showed up to celebrate our country on a very rainy evening. And because of lightning, everybody was forced to leave. And then they said, we're going to do it anyway, even if I have to speak at 2 o'clock in the morning. We called everybody back. And 150,000 people came back. They were on their way back to Texas and Oklahoma. And we had 150,000 people standing in the rain late in the evening. Somebody suggested, let's do it on a different day, maybe in a week or two. I said, no, it doesn't work in a week or two. It worked on the 250th year from the Scotland fans who took over the streets of Boston last month to the Argentinian supporters who cheered on Messi. How good is Messi? The hat trick in Kansas City had the hat trick, something very rare, I guess, and your sport is pretty rare, isn't it? To our first ally, France, winning in Philadelphia July 4th. What a game. They seem to be, it's life in sports, but they seem to be unbeatable, and then they didn't beat Spain. They were the team that was favored. They were the team that was winning, I think, probably the most easily, and then something happens. It can happen in life. In sports, it can happen in life too. You're out as a pistol, and then you're not so hot. But I wouldn't know about a thing like that. Now it happens in life. You're hot, and then you're not. But you have to always make a comeback, right? You can never give up. But it's been a true honor for Americans to share our magnificent country with the world. And today, America is stronger, wealthier, and hotter than ever before. And you're a big part of it. Once again, I want to thank Johnny and the incredible people at FIFA. They're incredible people. I get to know some of them during this period of time. I'll get to know some more on Sunday. And I want to congratulate every team that made the 2026 World Cup one of the all-time greatest sporting events in history. And I think beyond the sporting event, this has been not just a sporting event. This has been far beyond the sporting event. This has been something very, very special. So good luck to Spain and Argentina on Sunday, and may the best team win. And now it's a pleasure. It's really my pleasure to introduce a very talented man, the man that I cannot tell. You know, Luciano was a great friend of mine, Pavarotti, and he was a great singer, and I cannot tell the difference. The only one that tells me he's not as good is Christopher. He says I'm not as good as him. He was the greatest of all time, as I said. But Christopher Lockheed is a great talent, a very highly respected person within the world of opera, and you can hear a tremendous voice. And again, thank you very much, and Johnny, congratulations on probably the most successful event ever held. Thank you.
All right, that was President Trump, and he was speaking at that FIFA event ahead of today's match. That's going to be France and England for third place in the World Cup. That's pretty awesome. And of course, tomorrow over at New York, New Jersey Stadium, that's where the finals will get underway with Spain and Argentina. Now, of course, as we take a live look there on the right-hand side of your screen, that's a live look over New York City, very smoky there, as a result of the wildfires that are burning over in Canada. And of course, we expect that is going to be the situation here for several days. Now, of course, we've been asking you at home what you think. We always want to get your opinion here. Who are you cheering for in today's third place match? You have France and England. And actually, I will tell you, it's kind of gone back and forth here as the results have been coming in. All you have to do is scan that QR code on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, or go to livenowfox.com/connect. And all you got to do is hit the Vote Now tab, and you can hit whichever you want, France or England. Right now, about 3/4 of you are saying England, 74%, 26% saying France. Don't forget that you can stream all of the action by simply downloading the app right here, Fox One, and they can use to stream all of this. Stream it now. Stream all the action live, because Fox One is the official streaming platform for the FIFA World Cup 2026. We are going to head to a quick break right here, but on the other side, we'll get you right back into your top stories and live events on Live Now on Fox. Stay with us. Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox. It is 7:23 on the East Coast and 4:23 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'm here over the next several hours as we break down all of your top stories and live events from across the country and across the world. And of course, a big story that we continue to cover is this parasite, so to speak, that a lot of people are discussing. And I want to pop this up to actually give you a look at some of the themes that we are following as we get back into that.
Now, federal health officials have identified lettuce from Mexico sold at Taco Bell locations in 5 different U.S. states as a source of that widespread outbreak of the diarrhea-causing parasite Cyclospora. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention warning consumers not to eat shredded iceberg lettuce from Taco Bell restaurants in 5 different states. And I want to pull this up for you to give you a look at exactly what we're talking about on that map right there. Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, Ohio, and West Virginia. A record number of cases have been reported in more than 30 states, and experts have said that not every recent illness there might be caused by a single source. An investigation by the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, there identified a single supplier of that lettuce. Now, I want to go through some of the statements that we are getting as a result here of all of this, and this is actually coming in from Taco Bell. They say, "We want you to hear it from us. We take your health and safety seriously and have removed all affected Taylor Farms lettuce from Taco Bell stores. So go ahead and enjoy your Taco Bell today. You always got us, we always got you. See you in the drive-thru." Again, they are reacting after the reports there from the CDC and, of course, the FDA investigating. Now, Taylor Farms also responding, saying essentially that no Taylor Farms branded salads or kits are associated with that Cyclospora outbreak. Again, all of this is going to be under investigation by the FDA, and there's a lot of questions here about how all of this could impact just about everyone. I want to bring in Jay Aldeburg, the Chief Growth Officer of International Services Incorporated, to help break down all of this here. And Jay, I got to start by asking you overall how small restaurants, grocers are calculating the true cost of all of this here and potentially losing sales as a result. So the question is going to be two impacts. Obviously, one, to the top line of revenue generation here, measuring compliance as well as, of course, they're done through third party. That's going to be one side of it for sure. The other side is the cost of that product. If we're just looking at shredded iceberg lettuce, based on supply first and foremost, and the overall pricing model of the difference between a U.S.-based product and a Mexico-based product, it's going to be impact on food costs significantly. And how quickly restaurants may be adjusting their pricing, their product mix, capacity with demand drops because of something like this, an outbreak where so many people are either affected or even concerned about potentially being impacted. It's going to be this weekend. That's how fast what their costs are, specifically when you look at a product or a plate, as it's called, looking at food cost and labor cost and how much the increase is going to be. It's a very unique product, and it's shredded lettuce on its own, but it's going to have a major effect on their food costs, and they should be taking inventory of that right away. What should independent farms, retail suppliers really communicate to protect the consumer trust during an investigation like this? Because again, you're looking at that map, and the CDC has essentially said that many like an iceberg are worried about it and maybe are eating any kind of iceberg lettuce become sick in any way. So what should those independent farms, regional suppliers really maybe try to get out there? It's got to be a good marketing campaign on their behalf. Right now, if you are an independent restaurant owner, the first thing you should be doing is naming names. Where your grower is from, what region it's from, who's the processor of that product. That should be a full marketing campaign, and whether that's internally inside of your restaurant, and if they're sourcing it from these farms, these local farms, making sure that obviously that's marketed as well. Being able to put that on third-party delivery apps in terms of your restaurant, and maybe some of your menu items may have that product in it as well. It's got to be a full onslaught marketing campaign of where you get your product. What about the kind of, I guess you could say, switch to locally grown? Is that something that you see looking down the line, something that's temporary, or do you think it's really going to become
maybe what people are doing, what they're looking for.
If you look further at the bigger picture of the product itself, it really only comes from three sources, right? The three main sources that you're going to get is one of those is California, the other is Arizona, and the third is Mexico. That's where Mexico only makes up about 7% of the supply. Why you want to know that is because right now California was already tight as it relates to their supply because they were tight as it relates to their supply. The supplementation was coming in from Mexico. Mexico at this point has been frozen in terms of the import of that product. So now what happens is the tight supply that was already there is specifically going to be a supply and demand issue because most of the chain restaurants which use that product are under contract already. They're going to consume the most amount of it. So to answer your question, where that cycles into is Arizona's growing supply doesn't come in until about November. So now you're going to have these independent restaurants. They're going to have to look because the supply is being consumed by the chain restaurants. They're going to have to look at other sources. So the farmers themselves are going to be in actually an advantageous position in terms of pricing. In terms of the business owners, though, the independent restaurants is going to be a heavy impact, even on that small food cost.
And on that same note here, how can small operators maybe turn those changing consumer habits into a sustainable business strategy? And you kind of touched on this there, but how can they kind of go about that? Because you have so many people who say, this is what I'm going to do from here on out. Wait, no, this is what I'm going to do. This is what the trend is. How do you go about that?
Don't jump at things right away. I've seen people talk about, they're going to switch over their product to shredded romaine. To give you an example, the food cost as it relates to that versus lettuce is huge. So we as a firm, we analyze probably about 10,000 companies a year, and I would say maybe 1,800 to 1,000 of them are small, medium-sized restaurants. What we find most common is they'll know things that are lagging indicators like they'll get their accounting and it'll show them that their food cost, let's say, is 37%, but that is a lagging indicator. It's coming months after, really in a month of operation. So being able to look at your cost and be able to know specifically every ingredient that goes into the presentation of your product or plate itself, the labor cost, knowing where you can actually cut in other areas if this product itself is going to cost you more, that's the next step you're going to see it should be undertaken by those small, medium-sized businesses.
When you look at this as a whole and talk specifically about small businesses, any maybe misunderstandings or just something that you think people don't realize about any of this here, break that down for folks.
The biggest thing that was shocking to me when I was, obviously doing some investigation here, and it is not necessarily related to small business, it is related to business, is how Wall Street made their decisions of who are going to be the winners and losers in this situation. That was one of the most shocking, and how it affects small business, obviously. When you look at Sweetgreen itself, their stock dropped by 24% in the last month, essentially. And although they have no cases, nothing indicating that they have any of these products, Wall Street already decided that they're an issue. Same thing with Cava, which is essentially a competition or very similar to a Chipotle product. Those individuals, that stock dropped 24%. However, Chipotle, interestingly enough, in the last month has had a 5.6% increase in overall stock value. That was more shocking to me, and I actually looked deeper into it. When Chipotle had an E. coli issue in 2015, they went through obviously a stringent safety and health inspections of all of their locations, and different policies were put in place. And interestingly enough, that was the gamble that Wall Street was making when this story first broke. They're willing to invest in Chipotle based off of that change in policy versus obviously the restaurants that are heavy salad-based, I guess, or salad-based products.
All right, Jay, thank you so much for taking the time to join us, helping to break all this down. It's something that we are keeping a very close eye on, really the impact of this and the investigation, what happens next.
anything we missed, anything that you want to make sure to add here about anything before I let you go? Yeah, I think the only thing is these small independent restaurants, look at your costs, we covered that. Do internal marketing, do external marketing, make sure that your clients know that you're safe. Don't know, where you get and source your products. And I think I can't stress that enough. Don't wait till next week. Do it this weekend. All right, Jay, thank you again for taking the time to join us and help to break it down. We definitely appreciate it. Josh, this has been great, thank you. And I do want to pop this up coming in from the CDC, as it says state, local, and federal partners are working together to investigate that multi-state outbreak of the parasite Glycospora. Investigations to identify sources of illness are ongoing. We'll make sure to keep you updated here on all of this as we get additional information. Again, the FDA is investigating and the CDC putting out all of that information. Right now we do have to head to a quick break, but we will have much more live coverage on the other side. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're live now from Fox. The time is 7:37 on the East Coast and 4:37 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Laswell, and I'll be here for the next several hours as we break down all of your top stories, live events, and breaking news from across the country and across the world. Right now, I do want to get you out to this live look over the White House, as we know that President Trump is not there right now. He is over in New York, and then we'll head to New Jersey, where he will attend the FIFA World Cup final match tomorrow. So we're going to have coverage of that, and I'm sure we will hear from him as well as he attends the match there with First Lady Melania Trump. I want to get into some other news right now, as Secretary of Defense, also of course known as Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, announced that he's rolling out a new screening program for, quote, testosterone deficiency among troops, calling it necessary to allow them to operate at their, quote, absolute best. The screenings will be conducted every year as part of service members require medical screenings for those 30 and older. Troops under 30 can volunteer to be tested. Now, in a video on social media, Hegseth said receiving testosterone replacement therapy would be volunteering. In the video, Hegseth simply refers to troops, though it appears he's talking about only testing men in uniform for hormonal irregularities. The move comes as other Trump administration officials have started to advocate for men to have easier access to testosterone replacement therapies The messaging from Hegseth and others blends doing science on the hormone with some broader and less substantiated claims. A lot to this year. I want to play those very brief remarks from Secretary Hegseth about all of this. At the Department of War, lawyers from the nation, every single day, you are pushed to your absolute physical and mental limits to master the profession of arms. We demand your all, and you give it. But while we invest heavily in our weapon systems, platforms, and gear, our most decisive tactical advantage will always be the individual warfighter. We have a sacred duty to maintain that advantage, which is why we must constantly look for new ways to optimize your performance, your resilience, and your long-term health. And to meet that commitment today, I'm authorizing a new screening program for testosterone deficiency for our service members, ensuring you have the right testosterone levels to operate at your absolute best. Because it's well-established science that as we age, testosterone levels often naturally drop. Under the supervision of our world-class medical professionals, warfighters aged 30 and older are going to be tested annually as part of their periodic health assessment that happens every year, which is adding to this test. Those under 30 can voluntarily choose to get the test as well. If treatment is recommended, it's entirely your choice to receive testosterone replacement therapy. This initiative, it's not about artificial enhancement. It's about restoring and optimizing your natural capabilities, protecting your longevity, and ensuring you have the biological foundation required to sustain life. We owe our warriors the absolute best medical care in the world, and this program delivers on that obligation. Taking care of your long-term health means ensuring you remain strong, resilient, and capable, not just for your next deployment, but for the rest of your life. You can thrive long after you take off the uniform. As we know, the modern battlefield is brutal and unrelenting. It requires and demands maximum psychological and mental readiness. And by addressing these health markers early, we're keeping you on the leading edge of legality and giving you the same level of support to ensure you can make this nation the absolute best. Godspeed, keep going, you got one. Alright, that was Secretary Hegseth as he made that announcement on social media. I wanted to play that out in case you missed it earlier on in the week, as on this Saturday we go over all of your top stories for the past several days. They are also taking a live look over the White House once again as officials under President Trump want to make it easier for men to get a prescription for testosterone. The latest shift in a decade-long debate over the benefits and the risks of health factors. The move, which is backed by Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and other top officials.
Yeah, Kippy on the track. Let me tell you something, I'm queer and I like it. Ain't no need for frontin', Got that tropical vibe. They call me Kippy the coconut. That's right. And they call me Mr. Potato Head 382. Putting all my pieces together, shining like I'm new. Yeah, that's Kippy. Wild and free. Kippy. Yeah, that's Kippy. Wild and free.
welcome back here on Live Now from Fox. Happy Saturday. Thanks so much for being with us bright and early. Of course, a reminder here that at Live Now from Fox, we are now 24/7 bringing you news not just during the day, but all through the night, including on weekends. Gorilla Horror was here 2 to 6 a.m. Eastern Time, and now I'm here 6 to 10 as we break down all of those top stories and live events that pop up not just in the U.S., but also across the world. Right now we are going to stick in the U.S. though, as you take a live look over the Capitol there on the right-hand side of your screen. Just yesterday we heard from Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy as he spoke alongside Russell Vogt here. Now they were holding what's called a gaggle. Essentially, that is where reporters walk up to those folks and ask whatever kind of questions they have. It was very brief, but we do want to play it for you here on Live Now from Fox. In case you missed it yesterday, take a listen. Coming to Philadelphia, all part of the president's plan to revitalize American shipbuilding. This is a whole-of-government approach. We have the shipbuilding on a downward track. We are going to reverse that and bring shipbuilding back to America, make America competitive again. Building commercial vessels. Also, we've got the important for national security because commercial vessels have a direct correlation with military vessels. And so, again, I want to reiterate, a lot of governments are working together with the president who has a mission to make sure we build ships in this country again. This is not one of those, you just snap your fingers and you turn it around instantly. It takes time, but you have the story. And that's what we're doing now for the second turbo custom truck. Excited to be here. Here's one of your opening remarks. You can make those up once you get from here. Let me just say, I'm here on behalf of the Army Shipbuilding Office, which was placed as a symbol of the President's commitment to resource America's maritime dominance. So the President loves this shipyard. He loves the workers here. He was instrumental in making sure that this shipyard stayed open in his first term, ensuring that this program was here. Now we're seeing the fourth and the fifth ships coming to fruition. And now we want to keep that production line hot with the announcement of the Missile Defense Agency ship, which is essentially the same vessel reconfigured for the NGA mission set, $1.4 billion. Is the first of additional contracts. The last thing I would want to just continue to emphasize, we are so thankful for the...
It's 2020, North Carolina. Good morning, man. It's 2020, North Carolina.
U.S. workers in producing U.S. ships as part of our strategy across the country, whole of government, to provide more competition to get things done right now. Sean and I live, and we say we want to actually get ships on the water and off out of the dry docks into the water. We don't want to just put forward promises into the future on scarcest resources time. We are here to make sure that the shipyard its line is hot, and this is the first contract, second contract of many that will look forward to the future. Because we wanted to put it on. Ross is pretty tough with dollars. I know that firsthand. He watches every penny. Ross voted here on this day to make this announcement. It speaks volumes of where President Trump is, but also where he is on the kind of investment and dedication this administration has to shipbuilding. And again, Director Vogt, Mr. Secretary, thank you for your support on behalf of the administration. It wasn't that long ago. How many of you were here in 2019?
Sounds good over in the Carolinas, man. Hope you enjoy the rest of the what's left for your weekend.
With the Philly Shipyard team, we ultimately selected them to execute the program as envisioned by the administration. And look where we are.
Ken Roger.
A lot of the things that come up is, can we do this? What is the impact? Look around us today. Yes, we can. And so I would challenge all of us as a group. The investments that are being made today, let's start to look at where will that put us in 5 years? And that is the metric of success. So thank you so much, Mr. Secretary. I'm going to take questions if you guys have any. We do want to give a shout out to the all the workers who built these ships, the men and women of the greater Philadelphia area, that made today a reality. A lot of places that build ships in America, they came here to the Philly shipyard because of the infrastructure of this yard, but also because of the great workers of Philadelphia, the talent and the skills of the workers. So I want to make sure we mention that today doesn't happen without other partnership. That question you get that one, public leadership after California ship So as Ross announced today, we have two more ships coming into this yard. They're not going to be training vessels. They're part of a different mission, but the size and configuration is very similar to what's been built over the course of these 5 years. Missiles are the same really. Same ships, reconfigured for a different purpose and mission set. But ultimately, one that is capitalizing on this line being off. And again, that's another part of our strategy is looking for where we can use current ship design, priority of expertise, and move forward with ships. Correct. And I would just say that a lot of the leadership with the code is helping us identify opportunities to go fast and to go efficiently and to go where we have money for and prevent the compared to what we can do. And just to be clear, again, a lot of government contracts, they are over time, they're over budget. That is the story of some of our government contracts we got here, which is why Ross was such happy to make sure these two new ships come to this yard and under Hawaii Jones leadership. These are vessels that are being delivered for the deal they have with the government, and that's what we want. Deliver on the deal, and no doubt they have delivered on the deal, and we'll talk about that in Hawaii. That program is the Landing Ship Medium program. It was awarded this week by the Navy, so you can go online and find their latest release. Currently, that program is issued for two shipyards, Macon Ferry and Bollinger, and we will be expanding the program to include a third.
Skip seemed like it rolled back around, but somebody got a dead key in there. Somebody got a dead key in there playing it, and it makes it a little hard on my receive. Come on.
Coming out, well done, Billy. You make great ships. Not so sure about your football teams, but leave that alone.
I couldn't hear Blondie. Somebody got a dead key in there. They put it in there with me, and you started talking. They did that on yesterday. I was up at Channel Blondie. They got up this morning. They're doing the same thing.
I wanted to bring you that quick question and answer session there with Secretary Duffy and Director of Vote Team and showing you all the different cameras this morning from some major
Blondie, good morning to you. Blondie, you got a good grip on J.J. J.J. locked him out in North Carolina.
inside your screen very easy as a result of those Canadian wildfires that are running out of control and causing this scene across the U.S.
Yeah, it's been a while. I heard you in there on yesterday, but there was so much commotion going on, so much skip jumping from channel to channel. I didn't get a chance to holler at you there, Roger.
Against Canada as a result of the impacts that we've seen here in the U.S., and that includes some really bad air quality that's resulting here. We have places like Detroit, Cleveland.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, turn right. Getting our chance to holler at each other later. Knock them out, North Carolina, back out.
Stay with us.
seen around Mississippi. Yeah, good morning to you, sir. I do apologize because I'm having some problems with somebody on this end trying to stop me from hearing. But oh man, I tell you, good to hear you. Hope you and the family is well. Turn right over there. But you know how that is. Everybody bought that radio for their pleasure and their enjoyment. We can't tell them what to do with it. We just have to show them that we don't have to do what they do. Try to lead an example for them. Now, Roger.
Welcome back. You're on live now from Fox. It is 7:57 on the East Coast and 4:57 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Laszlo. Thank you so much for being with us here on this Saturday morning, wherever you're watching us from. We definitely appreciate it. And again, you're taking these live pops that are showing, well, not a whole lot, because we see smoky skies over New York City. Hard to believe there, but that is all smoke that's coming in from those Canadian wildfires that are burning out of control. And what I'm going to do is pop up some of the other live images that we have at this point, and this is a look coming in from outside the capital, because it's not just New York, it's also D.C. and other big cities. We'll be checking in with Fox News, Fox Weather, just about everyone in these locations as well, to talk about the health impacts, all of that here on Live Now from Fox as they take place. Right now, though, as we approach the top of the hour, I want to get you back into some of the big stories that we are covering here at this hour. And this is a post coming in from the FBI Director Kash Patel, as he says yesterday, into the early morning hours of today, talking about Friday, the FBI responded to a hostage situation on the Trinity National Forest. Authorities in California, where two individuals took two U.S. including a tactical deployment of our hostage rescue team from Quantico. After nearly 8 hours of negotiations, the hostages were safely released. And subjects, it was a bit like and largely surrendered and were immediately taken into custody. I am proud of the immediate and professional work of the elite FBI team to assist our partners for a safe and successful resolution. Again, our market to this very bizarre situation. Thankfully, though, those two officials are not here right now, though. I will pop up the audio and listen in to some of the comments here from investigators. My name is Tom Schultz, SCH-12TZ, I'm the Chief of the U.S. Forest Service. So, two Forest Service employees were taken hostage yesterday by two armed individuals. On July 16th, they were conducting field work on the Shasta Irrigation Parcel where they held right now, it's July 17th. Forest Service law enforcement personnel were notified of the incident at approximately 11 a.m. on July 16th. The first call came to Forest Service law enforcement officer who coordinated the initial response with the City County Sheriff's Office and the FBI. From there, this was a joint law enforcement operation led by the FBI, with the officers coordinating and supporting on the ground, along with Siskiyou County Sheriff's Office, the Bureau of Land Management, California Highway Patrol, California Department of Fish and Wildlife, and law enforcement partners from 8 counties. are grateful to everyone. I want to say how profoundly grateful and relieved that we are there to employees on the leasing. Their well-being continues to be our highest priority. We're staying close to them and their loved ones, making sure they have the support and the space that they need every what they've been through. This has been a frightening experience for everyone involved. Our employees, their families, their co-workers, and frankly, those who care about the people who serve this agency out at home every day. USD Secretary Baldwin discussed with the share of the concern, families, and appreciation for the extraordinary work of law enforcement. In her words, she stated, "I'm incredibly relieved this outcome reflects the skill and resolve of the FBI, Siskiyou County Sheriff's Office, our Forest Service law enforcement officers, and every partner who responded. Throughout this because nothing matters more than the safety of the people who serve this country. To our employees and their families who are never alone. I share the Secretary's gratitude. This was an incredible effort by all involved. The outcome is a testament to the skill and professionalism of our Forest Service law enforcement officers, the FBI, Siskiyou County Sheriff's Office, and everybody who responded. We are proud of them today. Good afternoon. My name is Jeremiah LaRue. It's Jeremiah, capital R, UE, and I am the Sheriff of Siskiyou County. I appreciate everyone that's here today to listen to these moments and take them to heart, because I think that it's been a very emotional past couple days, and I know as Sheriff, I sincerely share that with many people. When someone from our community goes through something that is traumatic. So with that, I'd like to just recount some things that came through our office for you to help you with that. We received a call at the Siskiyou County Sheriff's Office at around 10:55 a.m. And the phone call was from a U.S. Forest Service law enforcement officer indicating that a gentleman who was later identified as Joseph Charles Hendrickson had two Forest Service employees zip-tied and held at gunpoint inside a trailer at Gumboot Lake, which is in Siskiyou County, near Mount Shasta, California. Mr. Hendrickson indicated that he had firearms, ammunition, and wanted to speak with the FBI. The Siskiyou County Sheriff's Office immediately mobilized, and we sent deputies and our special response team to the location around noon. And when we arrived, we started to mobilize. We started using drones almost immediately. They are an excellent tool. And we started making resource requests to the Shasta County Sheriff's Office, as well as communicating with our federal partners. At about 1:03 p.m., using our drones, we were able to identify a trailer where Mr. Hendrickson was inside, and we attempted every effort to begin communicating with him to resolve the potential conflict. At that time, we were still unsure, as we would not know unless we could make a positive confirmation of what was occurring. And between that time period, people started showing up from all over. And I can't tell you as a sheriff just how incredibly thankful I am for our partnerships, not only at the state, the local communities that we serve around, but also the federal government. And it wasn't until about 4 o'clock, until 4:20, that we were able to begin negotiations with Mr. Hendrickson. And there's a lot that transpired between that. And what I'll tell you now, that the best part of this, and the reason I think we're all here, is that at about 1:50 a.m., the survivors, the hostages, the 2 employees of the Forest Service were released. I'm so incredibly proud of that. Our teams did an amazing job. It was a large incident, and I'd like to tell you it was probably the smoothest thing that I've seen in many years. Around 2:30 a.m., following the release of the survivors, we were able to successfully communicate and get Mr. Hendrickson to come out of the trailer. Also, his son, Phoenix Hendrickson. And that's a success. I hope no one misses that. I want to reiterate a couple things that I'm impressed, again, with the response that I saw, the ability to work with my friend and colleague, Sheriff Mike Johnson, all of our federal counterparts in the state. And there are so many people out there, you would have to have been there to see the response. But I want to thank a few folks. Cal OES, the Mount Shasta Police Department, Homeland Security Investigations, Cal Fire, other local fire departments, California Highway Patrol, both in the air and with us on patrol, California Department of Fish and Wildlife, their law enforcement, both in the air and with us on the ground, and of course the United States Forest Service law enforcement and other individuals, and the Federal Bureau of Investigations. So to every local, state, and federal partner, thank you immensely from my heart. You all demonstrated something that I think demonstrates our greatest strength, and that is this, our willingness to serve together is powerful. And again, thank you very much. My name is Michael Johnson, MICHAEL, JOHN-SON, of the Shasta County Sheriff Quarter. Shasta County Sheriff's Office rules in this incident was purely LA agency support. We received a call from Sheriff LaRue at approximately 20 hours, and immediately put together a contingency of a full crisis response unit to assist Sheriff LaRue and all the agencies involved in this incident. In total, the Shasta County Sheriff's Department sent 30 personnel, both sworn and non-sworn personnel, which included the SWAT team, sniper unit, hostage negotiations, the bomb unit, drones, and a lot of other support personnel to this scene. We were there till the end of it with all the other agencies, and I gotta tell you folks, this is remote Northern California, out in a rural area where it's tough to get resources in and out. It's a small one-lane road. It's probably about 2,000 elevation up in the campsite area. It is terrain and different than handling an incident in a city or in an urban environment and have all the resources readily available. So being an outright partner of the Siskiyou County Sheriff's Office is nothing new to us, as it is nothing new for us to call them and help us. The most impressive thing about this whole operation was it is a collaboration and working closely with city, county, state, and federal agencies across the board. As Sheriff LaRue mentioned, there's too many to try to name, as we'll obviously leave somebody out. We're grateful to have that cooperation, that type of working relationship in the North State. It is not happen everywhere, and it was a good example of the use of resources in the North State here. So it is something we should be proud of. And the successful resolution of the incident, peaceful resolution, I might add, with the recovery of the two survivors and the apprehension and the prosecution of the two suspects is something for everybody involved. So thank you again for your time and effort, and this is something that we not only as our state, but law enforcement collectively need to thank you. Yesterday, law enforcement and all the state and federal joint forces saved and resolved a hostage situation in Delta and FBI Sacramento was contacted by the United States Forest Service at approximately 12:20 a.m. and coordination with the County Sheriff's Office and employee resources and firefighters. Some agents are ready to be placed on law enforcement partners to help Forest Service employees with the job to operate the negotiations. HL, one FBI Sacramento SWAT team and evidence response team also quickly deployed support of law enforcement partners. We also contacted critical and response groups and requested some deployment of a rescue team and other assets collectively. HRT is on the tactical team. After hours of negotiation, the first hostage was released. 15 minutes later, the second hostage was released. We are so proud of the survivors and for the on-greatness for the release. I was the last day of all time to process this experience. At approximately 2:30 a.m., Joseph Heinrichsen and his son, Felix Heinrichsen, surrendered. Joseph has been arrested on federal kidnapping charges. At the time, he was AR-15 and knives, delayed to have grenades. Crisis situations like this don't often result in everyone leaving victimly. We are very proud of working with you today. We are thankful for the professionalism of all agencies involved, including Assistant County Sheriff's Office, Chattanooga County Sheriff's Office, Sacramento County Sheriff's Office, California Highway Patrol, California Office of Emergency Services, California Department of Fish and Wildlife, U.S. Forest Service, DHS Homeland Security Investigations, and our surrounding FBI and the Wellness Supervisor Community. Together we achieved something truly remarkable. This continues to be an ongoing investigation. Appreciate the patience and continue to seek the answers. You can help us too. If you have first-hand information about Joseph or Felix Heinrichsen, please call 1-800-CALL-FBI or submit a tip to tip.fbi.gov. Thank you. Good afternoon, I'm Eric Bryant, United States Attorney for the Eastern District of California. That's a long way of saying I'm the Chief Federal Prosecutor for this area in California. In my office, today, by criminal complaint, will charge both the elder Mr. Heinrichsen and the other Mr. Heinrichsen with a violation of Title 18 United States Code, Section 1201A5. That's kidnapping of a federal employee. And so, the charging document, which we fully expect the United States Magistrate Judge to sign, should be available on the website of the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of California later this afternoon. I also want to reiterate what you've heard many times already, that this incident illustrates the great partnerships that local, state, and federal officers and agencies have. And my office is proud to be part of that, proud to serve with these officers and cooperate with these agencies. I would add that sometimes the news portrays the state of California and its subdivisions as always in conflict with the federal government, and I think this incident shows that is not the case. We're well together, we're glad to support each other, in fact support each other very well. Thank you. And well, now open it up for questions. Can you spell, I heard Hendrickson and Heinrichsen, can you please spell the last names first of all to determine what you take it to our last name? I have that, Henrichsen. Do you have a home count for them? I do not. What were they, do you have a motive? Why they wanted to contact the FBI? There's no investigation. There's evidence of some motivations, but individual telephone anyway, it's not brought to us, so investigate that, but answer all this question right now. And the two U.S. Department of Investigators, I mentioned it's on the Webby area. What were they doing in that area at the time of the kidnapping? They were just performing their self-reports, so we don't have specifics, but they were doing their typical job that they would do. So that was a routine patrolling with job performance. Do you know by any chance how often they would patrol that area? Yeah, they weren't patrolling there, they were just going to the work. It was seasonal work that they would do on a regular basis. So, being away to what was it? What is seasonal work for them? Yeah, so we're not going to get into specifics because it's specific what they were doing, but they were doing it, performing their jobs. And so what they would typically do wasn't anything above and beyond or something different than what they were doing.
Alexis with KRCR, I'm wondering why the community wasn't notified yesterday on the incident that had took place and not notified until today.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of negotiations that were going on. We did not want to timing the potential outcome, and we had a tremendous outcome that we're grateful for, so that's specifically why we did not want to have any impairment of what was going on. And you can tell by the skill of the folks that were involved in this, that they did a tremendous job, and had we done something differently, they could have changed the outcome, so we're just grateful for the outcome, and we're tremendously supportive of our partners in the state.
Did it start off with one hostage and then become two, or was it always two hostages?
We had 2 employees there. A lot of places. I don't know the details. Hopefully I'll get one of those. So Joseph is 29 years of age. And as far as Phoenix, all I can share is that adult baby. And that was their trailer that they took the 2 employees into, was a Forest Service trailer. I'm not exactly sure the owner, however, it was a personal trailer. But it's not a Forest Service trailer.
What is the state of the hostages now? Did they suffer any injuries during this process?
So I do not know exactly how it generally works when a hostage survivor is taken. They're assessed to the scene and then later they're followed up just to make sure that they're okay. I have not heard anything contrary. I believe that they were just well. Somebody has would you be releasing the names at any time of those employees? I'll leave that to the Forest Service. We do not intend to release those names. If it's such time that they want to release those names, they'll be up to those employees, but they are involved. They can call them. Would you be willing to release their agents? Our reports of a FBI bringing in a Boeing 757 and donating to transport personnel, FBI personnel to help out here. Is that accurate? Is that accurate? It's accurate that these are taking the Quantico and why was the decision
bring FBI agents all the way from Quantico to this situation. I think this is something that we talk about the dynamic security, right? And any point to how it's under control is very dangerous, and it's not the kind of time and perimeter because this is county commissioner's office. So we have time to get them spun open out here just in case we want to catch it. It's a lot of times, so if we can find what is exactly how we can handle it. It's a national asset, it's in my country.
I wanted to bring you that news conference in case you missed it, coming in from KCRA, the affiliate over there in that area, and this is California's Shasta Trinity National Forest. Right here you are taking a live look at the board as we're tracking all of the different feeds that are coming into our newsroom, and as always, we're going to bring all of that to you here in real time on Live Now from Fox. But I want to pop this up once again to give you a look at the post from FBI Director Kash Patel as he said the FBI responded to a hostage situation over in Shasta Trinity National Forest over in Redding, California, where two individuals took two U.S. Forest Service biologists as hostages. FBI Sacramento, including our crisis negotiator, SWAT team, and evidence response team all arrived on scene, including a tactical deployment of our hostage rescue team from Quantico. After nearly 10 hours of negotiation, the hostages were safely released, and subjects Joseph Heinrichsen and Phoenix Heinrichsen surrendered and were immediately taken into custody. I am proud of the immediate and professional work of these elite FBI teams to assist our partners for a safe and successful resolution. Right now, we are going to head to a quick 2-minute commercial break, the first one of the hour, and I leave you with this live look over New York City. Very hazy, hard to see here, and you can see the smoky conditions caused by those Canadian wildfires. You're watching Live Now from Fox. We'll be right back. Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox, 824 on the East Coast and 524 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'm here on this Saturday as we break down all of your top stories, live events, and breaking news from across the country and across the world. Right here, I want to pop this up on your screen because, as always, we're checking in with you at home. We want us to send you a photo if you're experiencing the smoke air. Now again, we have been seeing these smoky skies that are happening all over the country, mostly, of course, in the northern part of the U.S. But take a live look here. This is actually the live image from New York City, where normally you see the skyline, and right now you can see kind of the outline or shadow of it, but it's followed by those orange hazy skies. And right here, we are seeing this live image, and then hard to believe, but as we drop this up on your screen, that is the Capitol building over in D.C., and the image there, the coloring is not off. That's actually what the skies look like over there. We continue to follow all of this and bring you all of the different photos that we're getting, but if you could send us a photo if you're seeing smoky skies, we'll show it here on right now from 5 to 10. We're going to all this whole as you're watching us. Taking a look at just some of the photos that we've seen so far. Interesting, this is coming from Sarah over in Joseph, Michigan. It says, we are right on Lake Michigan, and even a 10-minute walk with my dog left me out of breath and coughing. The sun was red yesterday morning. Keep that in mind, though, if you do have asthma, if you don't have to be outside, just don't, because we heard an official in Detroit saying that if you're outside for too long and you have asthma or any breathing problems, this could really be an issue. Detroit saying this is the largest launch they have ever seen ever in their history. Now, Richard over in Chesterfield sending us this photo right here, saying this is of Chesterfield County. We also have this photo of the Canadian smoke there. Kind of hard to see, but if you look up a little bit, you can get a view of the orange hazy sky. All you have to do is one of the regional photos and scan that QR code top right hand side of your screen. This is Mars from over in Canada. I'm hoping I say this right. Cheney, I believe, is how it's pronounced. Edward over in Willis getting bad storm also. Yes, everything that you have is going to kind of work its way inside. That's why we're showing some officials right earlier on today as they were holding a news conference and updating everyone on the situation. Essentially said they should ensure that the air circulation is from the outside. Again, this is mostly impacting folks over in the northern part of the U.S. A live look, or I should say a look from time over in Baltimore, where I got all of these different images, just how bad the situation is getting in so many different locations. This is over in New York, and it was actually on Wednesday sent here by Michael, and it's a video showing the sun there, kind of visible in the distance, but again, we're talking smoky and hazy skies. Now, what do I do? As a result of all of this, he posted, quote, we are holding Canada responsible for the fact that they are not properly maintaining their forests and brush therein, and the United States is being unnecessarily affected by quality of which is dangerous and totally unacceptable. I will call the Prime Minister during the day to find out what they're going to do about it. The crop is in council. Canada has refused to engage in basic forest management and debris removal, knowing that such refusal will lead to exactly this result. This is willful negligence and becoming a yearly occurrence, costing the United States billions of dollars, which cost of this pollution must of necessity be added to the tariffs Canada is currently paying. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Again, we are following all of the developments here as those hazy skies continue all across the country. Right now, we are going to head to a quick break at 8:29 on the East Coast and 5:29 on the West Coast. You're watching Live Now from Fox. We'll be right back.
now from Fox. My name is Josh Boswell, and I'll be here for the next several hours as we continue to follow all of your top stories, live events, and breaking news from across the country and across the world. And right now, I do want to head over to Texas, where we continue to follow everything related to the extensive flooding that's been seen over the past several days, turning deadly here. I do want to bring in Randy Campbell over at Fox Weather. She is live over in San Antonio, Texas, and has kind of a breakdown of what has happened out there in a very sad situation. Randy, of course, you're after what we already saw there in Congress.
It really is just unfortunate for the folks there to have to basically relive what happened last year, but in a different fashion. But yet we're here in San Antonio, which was mostly okay, but even San Antonio experienced damage with the tornado hitting northwest of the downtown area, but it was really in the hill country of Texas where most of the devastation occurred. Now, numerous flash flood warnings and even flash flood emergencies were issued throughout the week, with back-to-back days of rain leading to over 2 feet of rain recorded in cities like Uvalde. Over in Kerrville, they got about 20 inches of rain, and all of this happening in just a few days. Catastrophic flooding began as rivers, creeks, and streams began rising up flooding roads, sending water into homes and businesses. Local leaders have expressed they were grateful for early warnings that were received, saying it saved lives. But unfortunately, Texas Governor Greg Abbott did confirm as of yesterday, still 2 lives were lost and widespread damage was left behind. In Uvalde, we have footage showing the Texas game wardens rescuing a flood victim by helicopter. Governor Abbott said in a press conference yesterday the state rescued more than 270 people, but hundreds more were saved by local first responders. Across the region, infrastructure was also heavily impacted. Again, in Uvalde, one of the hardest hit, the Fox Market 481 bridge over the swollen Oasis River collapsed due to the flooding. You can see a chunk of it missing as water surrounds it. We also have a look into Kerrville at the Town Creek. This was taken yesterday, showing the river at a much lower level, but on Thursday morning, the river overflowed its banks, sending water to this neighborhood where residents have already started cleaning up, and I was able to speak to many of them on that road, telling me they woke up when it was still dark outside, grabbing, waking up each other on their street, making sure people were able to get to higher land. So they were just grateful that they had family members, friends coming out to help them to start that recovery process. Now, moving forward, we know the governor of Texas, he did sign a major disaster declaration, sending that to President Trump to open the door for them to receive federal help for recovery, but also for the rebuild as we look ahead. And one last thing to mention, Josh, while the rain is now out of this area of the Texas Hill Country and river levels here have receded, that water is continuing to flow down stream. So the governor is concerned that those rivers south of us make up the Oasis River about 2.5 hours south of where we are. They are expected to hit major flood stage this weekend and even going into early next week. So some communities could still deal with some major flooding as we look ahead. Back to you.
It's a very sad situation there. And Randy, I wanted to ask you, because you talked a little bit there about neighbors helping neighbors, folks getting out there and helping each other to clean up, maybe even rebuild at this point. What have you kind of seen out there? What have you heard from folks? I know you spoke, as you mentioned, to just some of them out there.
Well, for one, for many of the residents that saw flooding this time around, it's the second year in a row, so they feel like they've done this already. They've had more than enough practice to work on this part of the recovery, so it was just that gratefulness to help have people come in and help them do it yet again. So they started that right off the bat yesterday and will continue to do so, but there are also people who did not flood in last year's 4th of July flood event that unfortunately killed over 130 people that did see flooding this time around. So some people have told me they feel like this
may have been an even worse flood event, but grateful we didn't see that large loss of life. Back to you.
Brandon Campbell there at Fox Weather over in San Antonio, Texas. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to join us. That's fine. And don't forget, you can stream Fox Weather everywhere. Stream live now from the Future's Air Weather headquarters. Always on. Always free. FoxWeather.tv. And you can scan this QR code right here on your screen. It'll take you over to the Fox Weather app and hit that download button. Again, all you got to do is take your phone out, scan that QR code there, go to the website, it'll download for you, and of course, you'll get alerts to your phone if there are already watches, warnings, advisories in your area, and also you can take a look at the nifty radar there as they track storms along with us here at Live Now. Right now, we are going to sneak away for a quick break, 8:37 on the East Coast and 5:37 on the West Coast. You're right.
Check 9. Come on, let's go with the 10,000 square feet. Los Angeles,
are just actually doing some business in the city, and actually it was funny. I think that with my agency, hopefully I can extend that picture.
Well, I appreciate it. 252, man. You take care on the east side of Carolinas, man. Have yourself a beautiful weekend and a good day, Mr. 252. You're Satellite Detroit. I'm putting it back quiet. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. 252. I appreciate the water, dude. Mr. 252, take care. I'll see you. Bye-bye. Tobacco field is gone.
Carolina.
Thank you.